and the Ad Council.
The views and opinions expressed during this program are not necessarily those of Overseas Radio Network, the Expat Broadcasting Group, the staff, management, or broadcast partners. All information provided is for educational purposes only. Before taking action, consult a licensed professional.
The Coast to Coast.
Check 1, 2. Testing.
Now hear me.
You're listening to This Week in Costa Rica.
Once the volume control is set, do not readjust.
On the Overseas Radio Network.
That's why I want you to go on the radio.
This Week in Costa Rica, bringing you the latest information from expats, experts, and people just like you who chose to escape, retire, and live in Costa Rica.
Listen and decide in your own mind what sounds best.
Got a question? A comment?
They have to be dealt with on an altogether different level.
Or just want to talk to an expert on living in Costa Rica?
Brother, what a way to make a living.
Give us a call now.
Hello?
Lines are open and your answers are just one phone call away.
Now, if you have some suggestions to offer, we're willing to listen to you.
Ready?
This Week in Costa Rica with your host,
Who you?
Corey Coates.
And now, folks, it's showtime.
Welcome to This Week in Costa Rica. Coming to you from the Overseas Radio Broadcast Facility. Here in sunny Jaco Beach, Costa Rica. Sun's beating down on the west coast of this fine Central American nation. My name is Corey, and I'm coming to you, as I do every Monday from 2 to 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on the Overseas Radio Network to talk all things Costa Rica. Very excited today because I've got a lot of great information jammed into this particular program. Lots of super guests coming up today, including Dan Stevens, of course, from the Costa Rican Times. Bruce Hintz, my new best friend here in Jaco Beach. We've talked a little bit about him, and I'm going to speak on him more in a minute. And, of course, Lyle Head, my co-host with the most, whose voice spreads across the internet like butter on toast, is going to be stopping by to chat about all things Jaco and what's been going on here in Costa Rica. As two expats living the dream wood. Before I get into any of that, though, I want to direct you guys over to the website, thisweekincostarica.com. You're going to find all kinds of information there. Most importantly, some of the show notes from the program that we do here today and many of the programs that you can find in the past. Some of this information goes by pretty quickly, especially after I've had my coffee. I tend to talk a little quick. I'll slow it down for you. But if it does roll by and you hear some links and you hear some ideas, let not your heart be troubled. Just go over to that website and you can find links there in the show notes on the radio page so that you can find all of this information and enjoy it at your pace. More importantly, you're going to find over there ways to get a hold of us here on the radio program. Number one being, of course, you can send us an email. Probably the best way to do it. If it's not urgent and you want to take your time to craft your question. Many of the emails that I get from people start with, "Hi, Corey, I really want to speak to you guys, but I'm afraid to go on the radio." Don't worry about it. Those that have no fear, 888-741-7472 is the toll-free number anywhere in the Dominion of Canada and the great United States of America. If you don't live in either of those two sovereign nations, you can go ahead and boot up your Skype. Get a hold of us one of two ways there. You can always call that toll-free number for those that don't know. Toll-free numbers work in Skype and don't cost you a penny. The other way, of course, you can add us, overseas.radio. We'll become your Skype friend and we can chat that way too, whatever you like. But the contact page or information can all be found at thisweekincostarica.com. You want to just email me directly, Corey at overseasradio.com. Today, what I'm going to talk about is a couple of things, but mostly I have a great guest on for the second half of this hour. Ran into this guy named Bruce, and Bruce has undertaken one of the most remarkable projects that I think I've ever seen in a small community in my short life of 37 years. The man took the bull by the horns, so to speak, when it comes to the medical attention needed by the homeowners and visitors of Jaco, Costa Rica. Small town here, 10,000 people. Only about 3-4 miles long. But still, 10,000 people in need of what I would consider better medical care than the municipality is able to provide. This by no stretch of the imagination is a slight on the community, the municipality, or their abilities. What this is stating that the clinic here in town is not the greatest of facilities. The doctor on staff is good, doesn't speak English very well, and only works limited hours because the funding isn't there. Let's face it. Costa Rica still is a developing nation. I don't like third world country. I don't like that expression. Never have, never will. I consider this a developing nation. But having said that, it means that there's not a lot of money floating around in this government. When there's not a lot of money floating around, the social services are not necessarily the best. Now, as an expat, living as a resident here in Costa Rica, my medical needs are a top priority, and I know they are for you guys too. The reason why I'm bringing Bruce on the program is to explain the private medical plan that has been implemented in this community. To me, this is fascinating on a number of levels. As a libertarian, and as a Canadian, and now a resident of Costa Rica, I am seeing the many facets of this type of a structure and how it really reflects what makes things great about Costa Rica. But more importantly, as a libertarian, what makes things maybe not so great about the communities that we've expatriated from. The idea, and Bruce is going to explain this to you very well, that you are able to hire, as they did, 2 doctors, very talented, speak English, young, smart, great, assist them in opening a private clinic, easy access, right downtown, and moreover, do it with the spirit of providing high-quality Medicare at low cost to residents of this community and their guests. And, of course, walk-ins if necessary. But really, and this is the point that really gets to me, not for profit, just to have this good health insurance available to the people who are here, just so you have access to a talented, qualified doctor 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, even here in my condo if I want. He can actually, or she can, either one, come to see me and do a house call. Now get ready for the number. All for less than $50 a month. Each and every dollar that is a profit above and beyond the operating costs of this clinic and the salaries of the doctors is going to be reinvested into improving the clinic, buying medical equipment, and providing better service and care to you, the user. Unbelievable. Try finding something like that in the United States. Can't do it. Couldn't legally do it, I'm sure. Well, Costa Rica is all about solutions. Which also means that we're coming up on the segment 2. I'm going to go in for some solutions and some opinions from Dan Stevens, editor and founder of the Costa Rican Times. Stay tuned, guys, for that interview with Bruce. And, of course, Lyle's coming in as well. 888-741-7472. You're listening to Corey, This Week in Costa Rica, only on the Overseas Radio Network.
So you want to jump out your trick bag and ease on into hip bag, but you ain't just exactly sure what's hip.
Sit back and relax. You are tuned into the Overseas Radio Network.
Looking to invest, live, or retire overseas? Before you pack your bags, you need to log on to nagellog.com. It's the only stop you need to make for global business, asset protection, estate planning, overseas residency, and citizenship needs. Our experts have experience working in 41 countries around the world. Starting a business abroad can be overwhelming without expert help. We assist clients with foreign trust, foundations, corporations, LLCs, IBCs, and property acquisition. Need help with IRA assets abroad, capital formation, foreign securities issues, banking, brokerage, or finance needs? NagelLaw.com. We ensure compliance with U.S. tax and regulatory laws. We engineer global structures to help our clients achieve their personal and business objectives. To find out about our introductory personal asset protection plan, visit NagelLaw.com. NagelLaw.com. We represent capital overseas.
Belize, an asset protection haven where English is the official language. If you've been considering protecting your assets with an offshore trust or foundation, look no further. An asset protection structure from Georgetown Trust will serve you and your family for generations to come. Your grandkids will be grateful for the legacy that you were wise enough to establish for them today. You'll rest easy because Belize has some of the most protective trust laws in the world, and it's all done in English. Georgetown Trust has served thousands of clients over the past 15 years with integrity, efficiency, and privacy. Georgetown Trust also serves as a registered agent for IBC's mutual funds and insurance companies. If you're an offshore service provider, inquire about wholesale structures to fit almost any offshore need. Visit our website today, www.georgetowntrust.com, and see how simple and affordable getting started can be. Mention ORN and receive $100 off a structure formation. That's www.georgetowntrust.com.
You've decided that you want to move overseas for that quality of life experience you've always dreamed of. But you don't want to give up the best of back home. We agree. Things like high-speed internet, safe neighborhoods where you can stroll along a shaded sidewalk, a place where you know your neighbors and you have friends close by. These are important. Grand Pacifica Beach and Golf Resort gives you the best comforts of back home paired with the exceptional lifestyle only available south of the border. Imagine strolling along over 3 miles of secluded beach, playing around a golf along the ocean, surfing a world-class break all to yourself, enjoying a fine meal on your balcony and toasting to another spectacular sunset. All this and more can be yours only an hour from Managua. Complete home and lot packages start under $100,000 and a nice home on the golf course is yours for the mid-twos. Come visit for a weekend and enjoy our oceanside golf course. Ride horseback on the beach, meet your future neighbors, and make some new friends. Grand Pacifica may be a place you'd like to call home. For more information, email Mike@Mike'sGringoLife.com. That's Mike@Mike'sGringoLife.com.
You're tuned in to OverseasRadio.com, the station to help you reach your dream destination.
This Week in Costa Rica is hosted by Canadian entrepreneur Corey Coates. Corey has been living and working as a professional in Costa Rica for over 5 years.
Oh, I've been lost in my own place, and I'm good with it.
He's built a vast network of professional connections to help you with everything from immigration to relocation. Call in or send Corey an email to talk about the steps you need to take in making your dream of living in paradise a reality.
Welcome back to This Week in Costa Rica. You know, whenever I listen to that bumper about me, I think, boy, I sound pretty awesome. Maybe not, but I'll tell you what, I do have an awesome guy on the line. It is segment number 2 of hour 1, which means that I make my weekly phone call into the Central Valley, right around that San Jose area, to talk to the founder and editor-in-chief of one of my favorite online news sources and blogs, the Costa Rican Times. How are you, Dan?
Good, Corey. How was your week?
It's been great. It's been 2 weeks, actually. We took a week off, and I feel like I kind of missed you a little bit.
Oh, I missed you so much. I was crying myself to sleep.
Well, the good thing is that you have got that fantastic, that page up that I can read every single day and find out what's going on here in Costa Rica. If I could do a little promo for you, I would love for people to do what I have done and like your Facebook page, because I find that's really the best way to know when you've got something new and up.
Yeah, that'd be great. Also, anyone that likes our Facebook page that's in Costa Rica, as well as away from Costa Rica, they're actually eligible to win daily prizes. We're going to be giving our first one away in the next couple of days, which is free massage down at Bamboo Massage and a free monthly membership at the Flying Fitness Yoga Studio in Escazú.
Wow, my favorite kind of stuff. Free stuff. That's Corey at OverseasRadio.com. If you want to send me something free, just let me know. What's going on this week in San Jose?
Not much. A couple of the events that I wanted to talk about that are coming up is they actually announced this past week that the Cirque du Soleil will be coming to Costa Rica, which is a pretty incredible international event that if you ever had the chance to go to it, it's people doing almost gymnastics, a lot of light shows, 3 humongous tents. They pretty much have a moving city that they move around the world. And it'll be coming to San Jose from May 31st to April 15th. Tickets are a little pricey, about $56 to $260, depending on what kind of seats you want. But if you're able to go to this, I do recommend it.
You know, as a Canadian, Cirque du Soleil is in my blood. It's in my bones. It came from Quebec, actually. But you know, for $50 or $60 to go see this caliber of a show, I think is a great deal.
I do as well. I will be heading out there and hopefully getting some pictures and being able to share that, or doing some live video from the show as well. So.
I think what's great for a lot of the listeners as well is that we are seeing more and more of these international spectacles coming to Costa Rica. It's becoming more and more of an attractive place for these guys to come and put on their shows and concerts.
I agree with that. The only thing is, this past week we kind of had a screw up when it comes to getting that international stage here in Costa Rica.
Well, yeah, let's look at this for a second, because I think this is a big deal. Here in Costa Rica, they care about one thing and one thing only, and that's soccer. What a disappointment for these guys.
Well, it's funny, because they had scheduled the World Cup. FIFA had determined that Costa Rica would be the host country for the Under-17 Women's 2014 World Cup.
Okay.
Although it is, soccer is soccer, and it's huge around the world. It's one of the world's most watched sports, and this was going to bring a lot of tourism, a lot of tourism dollars. It's going to be word of mouth for people to know about Costa Rica, and if they had put on a good show, then it would have. Their investment in this project would have been 3- or 4-fold return on investment. What we're looking at is they actually about a year ago were told that they need to start getting their stuff together. And that required them getting 20 venues, which is 4 stadiums and 16 practice fields, ready for the tournament.
Okay.
The actual Costa Rican government's needed investment was about $3 million, and what that was going to be required was putting bleachers on. As you know, there's soccer fields all over the Costa Rica.
Right.
So all they really needed to do was put bleachers on them and line the fields and get that thing going. And then you've got they needed to refurbish 3 of their other stadiums, and their total investment, honestly, at $3 million was not that much.
Considering the amount of foreign investment that it would have attracted, I think. I mean, a lot of cash would have poured into the country.
You're looking at with these girls, and they're coming down here. If you've got 32 teams, for example, then you've got their friends, their families, and then you know, if they have a good time here, they're going to tell their friends and family about how Costa Rica was so wonderful, and they're going to come here too. And you're looking at probably about at least $100 million coming in from foreign investment, just from that $3 million investment and having the tournament here.
Oh, Coy, and I don't want to get off on a tangent here, but when I look at how much the tourism board here in Costa Rica spends versus the amount of national or international attention that this would have brought, that $3 million is a worthwhile investment, if you ask me.
I agree with that. But the only thing is the 3 stadiums they need to refurbish. There's actually the 4th stadium was going to be built in Jaco, in your hometown.
Yeah.
And as you know, the Gringo person that was building that actually had it on schedule to open, and it was funny though, because he actually had set up all the permits on one piece of land. And then there was some mangrove trees, or there was an environmental discrepancy where they had to move it to the lot next door.
Exactly.
So they got it delayed for about 5 or 6 months, going through this permitting process. Yet still, they were on schedule to have it built.
Absolutely. We're talking about Pat here, actually, who's a friend of ours here on the show. Who's also the owner of all the Daystar properties here in Jaco. So yeah, he was right on track with this project.
Right, and what we're looking at is he was on track with building a new stadium, yet they couldn't refurbish 3 and put bleachers on 16 practice fields. My biggest hypothesis on this was that, okay, well, they had to determine where the 16 practice fields were going to be. So to figure out what cousin or brother's hometown it was going to be in. Therefore, they could skim a little money off that $3 million. Then they had to find out what sister's husband was going to be able to get the construction for the bleachers. So they can skim a little bit more money there. And after, mean, because there's 16 fields, it takes about 2 years to get that corruption in place.
Sure. Well,
so they just weren't on schedule.
I think, you're right, because the expression here in Costa Rica is a chorizo, which is a sausage. But what they mean by that is it's kind of underhanded deals that happen. It's a link from one thing to another. That's why they call it a chorizo, because the sausage is linked together. And it's very common here in Costa Rica that really a lot of these massive projects, as soon as they see numbers like $3 million, there are a lot of people that kind of are a part of an old school Costa Rican way of doing things that see dollar signs in their eyes. And it's like, not only is this a great opportunity for Costa Rica, it's like, there's probably a way that I can get myself a nice BMW out of this deal.
Right. And so all of a sudden the bleachers, when they're during soccer practice, fall down, but he drives up in his Beamer and he's like, "Hey, all right, I'm doing good."
We laugh, but you're probably half right about what the big holdup had been. And I'm happy to say, I mean, Pat's going forward here with the FIFA compliant stadium no matter what. That's going to be a great part of Jaco, but it is a shame that you do see that the private sector is able to pull it together. Regardless of all the hurdles they have to jump over, whereas the public sector is just super, super far behind, really, really slow, and just wrapped up in all this red tape and bureaucracy.
Right, I agree. And the fact of the matter is, Pat does have his stuff together, and we're getting that stadium together. And it's going to be a great addition to Jaco for concerts and for games and whatnot. But it's just sad to see this possibility to showcase Costa Rica go down the drain.
Once again, the Costa Ricans are the ones who are going to suffer. You know what, Dan? I got a lot more to talk to you about to catch up. So why don't you stick around, and we're going to talk a little more in hour 2. How's that? Stick around, guys. You're listening to This Week in Costa Rica, only on the Overseas Radio Network.
Sit back and relax. You are tuned into the Overseas Radio Network.
Worried about rising taxes, costly insurance, out-of-control healthcare, economic decline, staggering debt, mortgages, and retirement? It doesn't have to be this way. Escape to Ecuador, one of the most beautiful countries on the planet, and at EcuadorAtYourService.com. Be your guide. Ecuador has been named the #1 retirement destination in the world 3 times in a row. So if you're searching for beaches, jungles, farmlands, cities, affordable healthcare, and a richer lifestyle at half the cost, contact EcuadorAtYourService.com.
This is 90 Seconds with Joel Nagel on the Overseas Radio Network.
I have over $10 million in assets I'd like to protect. Should I consider setting up a foreign family office?
A foreign family office is really a business approach to the management of wealth. And it integrates legal, tax, investment, advisory, insurance, all of the products that we talked about in many of the other 15 global strategies to protect your wealth are all brought together in a professional corporate setting where the management and growth of the wealth is the focus of the family office itself. So it's not focused on other things. It's just focused on managing, growing, stewarding wealth. That's what a family foundation is all about. There's 2 types. One, there's the individual foreign family office, which is just for you. You have all of those people that work to protect and preserve your business and financial interests. And then there's what's called a shared family office, where you can have multiple families. Usually it's not more than 3, 4, or 5 that all share the same staff just to get economies of scale. But the family office is definitely something that makes sense for people that go above the $10 million threshold.
For more information on the 15 global strategies to protect your wealth, visit NagelLaw.com. That's NagelLaw.com.
This is Kathleen Petticord and Leif Simon with the Live and Invest Overseas Minute on the Overseas Radio Network. How would a move overseas affect your tax burden? The good news is that moving overseas as a retiree, earning only retirement income, should be a tax-neutral event. Any local tax obligation in the country where you relocate will depend on where and how your income while living there is derived, and foreign retirement income, Social Security income or pension income, for example, typically isn't taxed anywhere in the world.
Your tax situation can be more complicated, and it is possible that you could acquire a new tax burden in the country where you relocate if you have earned income or investment income in addition to your retirement income. That's why you need to seek experienced professional counsel on this before making your move. Once you've taken up residence in your new country, some options for mitigating and managing your tax burden could be taken off the table.
For more information on making the leap overseas, visit us online at liveandinvestoverseas.com.
You're tuned in to overseasradio.com, your online radio resource about life abroad.
What? What is it?
This week in Costa Rica. Fun, informative, and your questions answered. Talk live with one of our on-air experts and start living your dream now.
Welcome back to This Week in Costa Rica. My thanks to Dan for the last segment. Always fun to go into San Jose and talk to him. I got a special guest here in today, though. Somebody I've been promising would be coming on this program that I'm very excited about. I saw his presentation a couple weeks ago at the Homeowners Association here in Jaco Beach, Costa Rica. And my special guest today is Mr. Bruce Hintz. He has orchestrated what I think is probably one of the most significant changes in a small community such as Jaco that we've seen in a long, long time. And I'm going to have him speak about it for you rather than I speak about it because he knows it better than anyone else. So first, without further ado, welcome, Bruce.
Thank you. Nice to be here.
I really appreciate you coming in. Now, what you've done here impresses the heck out of me. Let me just put it that way. Because I think what you've done is you've seen an incredible need here in the community of Jaco and done the opposite of what I think a lot of people are doing in the United States. Let me put it that way. A lot of folks would wait for the government or the municipality to take hold of something and fix it. But instead, what you've done is you've gone back to the community and said, we can do this ourselves. What exactly have you done here?
Well, we put a private clinic in the center of Jaco on the main street where there was none, where the clinic were hard to find, or you used the government program here in Jaco to have any kind of health care issues you had to have while you were here locally. We moved it to the main street. We moved it where it was feasible for folks to find without any problem and to be treated. And then we offered a lot of other things as well as the clinic through some local doctors and dentists.
Before we get into some of the benefits of this program, which I think are phenomenal, and I'm looking forward to enrolling in it myself, I love the spirit that comes from a place like Costa Rica and the ability for an individual to say, look, there's an opportunity here, and then to seize it the way that you've done. Have you found the response in the community has been positive, negative, neutral, which?
Most of everything here in Jaco has been pretty positive. The response to the program has been positive. The word that got out to the people, the condo owners, and their guests here in Jaco has been slow in getting out to the proper people, but now we're beginning to see the program pick up as people understand how it works and the benefits attached to it.
You know, we see this, and I experienced it myself. My mother was down for a visit this Christmas, and she fell, and unfortunately she broke her shoulder. And the only medical option that we had here in Jaco was to go to the local clinic down the road. The facilities are not the best. I mean, the doctors are okay. They don't necessarily speak English. And at the end of it, if you need anything significant done, it's going to mean an ambulance ride, either to Punta Arenas, to the public hospital, or an ambulance ride to San Jose, to SEMA, to one of the private hospitals. But now what you guys are bringing to the table is an option for people here in Jaco to get great medical service on a private basis, right?
That's correct. If there is something very, very serious that needs to be taken care of, probably one will still have to go to SEMA or one of the hospitals in San Jose. But the doctors here certainly can recognize very quickly that need to do so. Most of the things that they treat here are treatable things that happen to people who just happen to be here, tourists. You can trip on the sidewalk, you can step on a ray,
sure.
You can step on a piece of glass. Those types of things we can certainly immediately take care of. We have had an incident where a fellow came in had problems. He went actually in to see the dentist, was not feeling well, and it turned out that the doctors were right behind the dentist's office. They were able to see him, stabilize him, getting him to Sema Hospital, and had 3 stents and saved his life.
Wow.
And it was quite a nice story for the man. He was very grateful for the service being here in the center of town, where only 2 or 3 weeks before that, it wouldn't have even been here.
Sure. And he might not have been here as a result.
That's correct.
Wow, that's incredible. And it's just such a nice small community just to have this walk-in opportunity. But more importantly, I think what's great is the way that you're offering this private medical plan. Can we maybe speak about that?
Sure. The medical plan is actually being offered through developers here at Daystar Developers and Daystar Condo Company. What we did is we put together a plan. First of all, we looked at how are we going to make this happen. We knew we needed medical care. It's a lot of people don't think about it when they're coming on vacation.
Right.
Then the next thing you know, you get off the plane and, you're starting to feel achy and tired and so on and so forth. You wake up with a cough the next morning, it gets worse, and then you wonder what you're going to do about it. Then you start asking, where am I going to find a doctor? Mm-hmm. Well, the options haven't been too good. Now, under this program, the options are great, because if you can't make it to the doctor, they'll come and see you.
Wow.
If you need to go there, they're there for you. It's one of those things that has not been here. We have 24/7 care. It can be with house calls. If need be, these doctors will actually collaborate with your hometown doctor. They do speak English. Dentists and doctors will get to know you if you're here and you're a condo owner and you come here often. You'll have a set of records here that they know you. It's the same doctor. You're going to see the same doctor. You're not going to have to go to the clinic or the CAHA and find out that it's a different doctor each time.
So let me just stop you there, Bruce, because this is already an impressive setup. Let's suppose then I'm a condo owner here in Vista Las Palmas, for example, or in Daystar Properties, and I've subscribed to this medical service. Now I'm feeling sick and I need to see a doctor. I know it's gotten to that stage. I have the option to call and have the doctor who speaks English and knows my medical records from Canada come to my place, come to my condo and see me. And it will always be the same doctor. So I'm getting a family doctor again who does house calls.
Yeah, really one of 2 doctors. There are 2 doctors in the clinic, depending on how busy the one might be. We might ask for the doctor you see often. But the other thing is to bring them into your place, especially after hours. They would certainly like for you to visit the clinic where they have all their materials and everything available. But if it's after hours, that's the big thing. There are no doctors in Jaco available after hours, let's say after 6:30. Just the doctors in our clinic.
Wow, and that's such a big thing, is that you set the story right, Bruce, where you come to Costa Rica or you're here now. And when you've got a little tickle in your throat or you feel a little bit sick or you're not really sure if that chest pain is something you need to worry about. But when that moment comes that it's like, ooh, I really need to see somebody about this. And just that sense of security now knowing that you have somebody at the other end of the phone who's going to be able to see you 24/7 is really a game changer for living in a community like Jaco.
It's just something that we felt was really needed if we're going to be a first-class community, if we're going to put the kind of condos and infrastructure that has been added to Jaco over the last 10 years. It's just one of those things that needs to be here, and so we decided to do it. How we were able to do it is through basically a business plan. Our business plan called for the fact that we needed doctors on Main Street where they're available to provide some of the services we've already talked about. Mm-hmm. 24/7 care, low-cost dental care, low-cost optical needs, Main Street, easy to find, have other specialists if necessary, and care that can be collaborated with your own hometown doctors and so on and so forth. Those were our wish list. So where do we find doctors that can do that. Well, I'll tell you one thing. On Main Street, Hocko, on Main Street anywhere, the rent for space is very, very high according to the income potential of even somebody in the medical field.
Sure.
Which makes it very prohibitive. So, therefore, that was our first line of attack, if you will. Mm-hmm. We went to the doctors and said, we want you on Main Street. They said, we can't afford to be on Main Street.
Gotcha.
But we need you there. That's where we want you. So we looked at that and said, how can we organize our community to help you with that rent, so to speak?
Mm-hmm.
What can you give us back? It's a simple business plan. They gave us back what we needed. We gave them what they needed, an opportunity to grow their business in the community, be able to do it all year round, not just in the winter season or the high season, but to be able to be there all year round for us.
All right, Bruce, we can leave it there for a moment. We're going into a commercial break. We're speaking to Bruce Hintz right now about the Daystar Concierge Medical Services that have happened here in Hocko and are changing my life and the lives of many around us. Stick around, guys. You're listening to This Week in Costa Rica, only on the Overseas Radio Network.
So you want to jump out your trick bag and ease on into hip bag, but you ain't just exactly sure what's hip.
OverseasRadio.com, broadcasting from Panama to Paris and beyond.
Georgetown Global Metals is a division of Georgetown Trust, Ltd., an international financial services company headquartered in Belize with offices in Zurich, Switzerland, and Panama City, Panama. Georgetown Global Metals is a leader in the physical acquisition and storage of metals worldwide. The company utilizes the best and most state-of-the-art facilities in Switzerland, Germany, Singapore, and Panama to store metals inside or outside the customs borders of the countries in which we maintain storage facilities. Georgetown can also acquire and store virtually any strategic, industrial, or defense-oriented metal for our clients. Most metals can also be fully insured throughout the delivery and storage process with Lloyd's of London. For a free, no-obligation quote on any precious or other metals, acquisition, or storage, please contact Louis Eck at georgetown@btl.net. Mention you heard about Georgetown Global Metals on ORN and receive 1 month storage absolutely free. Again, that is georgetown@btl.net or telephone International Country Code Belize plus 501-226-3569.
Establish your business in one of the most extraordinary cities in the world. Connect to a market of over 1.8 billion people from Dubai. Over 1,400 companies from around the world have made Dubai Airport Free Zone their Middle East and Africa headquarters. Dubai Airport Free Zone was rated one of the top free zones in the world. Let us help you set up your operations at Dubai Airport Free Zone and expand your market and sales in Asia and Africa. Call us at 214-537-9665 or send us an email at info@dafz-usa.com. That's info@dafz-usa.com.
Your perfect child has just been diagnosed with juvenile diabetes, a disease that leaves so many children subject to 30 insulin shots per day. This disease is caused by antibodies that attack insulin-producing pancreatic cells. Did you know that you can stop these antibodies in disease with an immunotherapy which uses the patient's own cells? We're here to answer your questions and to educate you on a non-invasive stem cell procedure using stem cells from the patient's own body. Get your questions answered by Dr. Alejandro Maesplace, whose research on stem cell therapy for diabetes is published in medical journals and applauded by medical professionals and professors at the University of Padua in Italy and Johns Hopkins University in the U.S. Treatment by Dr. Alejandro is the best choice of caring parents who prefer not to subject their child to any unnecessary risks or the negative side effects of chemical treatments like chemotherapy. Learn more at stemcellsjourney.com or call 888-963-9178. Also available on Skype, name @Maesplace.
You've worked hard for your wealth. The Nessman Group can show you how to preserve it legally. We've helped clients in over a dozen countries open offshore accounts, set up international businesses, obtain second residence and citizenship, and construct suitable legal entities to protect their wealth. Contact the Nessman Group at 1-602-604-1524 or sign up for our free blog at www.nestman.com. That's www.nestmann.com.
Sit back and relax. You are tuned into the Overseas Radio Network.
You know what I just heard? What? Costa Rica has the reputation of being the happiest country on earth. But it gets better. This Week in Costa Rica brings you the best information. The best. From the people who understand why so many choose to call this beautiful place home. Bringing you the latest information from expats, experts, and people just like you who chose to escape, retire, and live in Costa Rica. This Week in Costa Rica. Pura Vida.
Welcome back to This Week in Costa Rica. Spending some time here today speaking of what I'm going to consider now my new favorite member of the community, Mr. Bruce Hintz. Largely because what he's bringing to Jaco and the positive changes that are happening here as a result of the medical concierge service and the private clinic that's now been opened downtown, done completely and independently and privately of the Costa Rican government and the municipality. And, we spoke a little bit before taping today that really this is not a slight in any way against the Costa Rican government or their medical system, right?
That's correct. It's not. Matter of fact, Costa Rican government does a really fine job of taking care of the Costa Rican people through their services. However, those services are not available to expats or foreigners or renters who come here. So there was a need to have that other piece of the private medical care for those folks while they're here in Jaco.
Right, and most importantly, to have those services available at a reasonable cost, easy to access, and locally. That's the big thing, is that, CIMA and Clinica Biblica and all the private clinics and hospitals in the San Jose area are great, but they're an hour and a half away from here on a good day.
That's right.
So now, if we could, I'd love to talk a little bit more about some of the challenges that you faced. Before we went to break, you mentioned that rent was one of the first big barriers to entry. But what other challenges have you encountered getting this business set up here in Jaco?
Well, the biggest challenge has been to basically put together the program and then sell it for funding. And the funding has to come from the condo owners, basically. First of all, what we did is we established a need, a monetary need to do what we needed to do to keep the doctors on Main Street providing the services we've already talked about.
Right.
Now, to do that, we came up with a dollar figure. That dollar figure, then we looked at how can we pay for that through our condo associations. And we looked at the number of condos that were available to us, and then we made some sort of an estimate as to how much that it would cost per condo to have this service. This service does not in any way take away from the fact that if you have travel insurance or you have insurance from some other country that's available to you here, that insurance still applies to these doctors. What this fee does is to assure that the medical care is here.
Right.
And it helps us also to move forward. Now, some of the other challenges that we had were just really putting the plan together to see what people really wanted. We were able to add several other things that would not only provide this service to you, but allow you to, if you use these other services, to almost recoup all the money you paid for the services to begin with.
Interesting.
So we tried to make it a win-win for everybody and to provide what we thought was a valuable thing for Jaco.
That's fantastic. Can we get a little bit into some of the benefits here that people are going to receive as a result of joining this program?
Sure. If you're a condo owner, you're going to be able to see a general practitioner 24/7, either in his office or in your room or your condo if need be.
And we should mention his or her because you have a male and a female doctor on staff, right?
We do.
Which is great. That's fantastic. Because I know, some of the ladies want to see a lady.
That's correct. And also, they will bring in a specialist if there's a need. Now, that specialist will not be paid out of the program. You will have to pay for the specialist, but you got to remember that healthcare in general in Costa Rica is far less than what you would pay for it in most other places.
Sure, you can see a specialist. If I recall, for example, in Hospital SEMA, if you were to go there for under $100, I think the last specialist I saw was $70 for the visit.
Yes, that's correct. So we have, last year we had a meeting, we had over 8 or 10 specialists that come to a meeting at Daystar and talked about their interest in serving this community on an as-needed basis. So these doctors can be scheduled through our doctors down in the Galleon building downtown in the center of the Jaco.
Fantastic. And I see here as well, I'm just going through the list. Beyond that, there's dental coverage as well.
Yes. And if you are a member of the condo community, of course, if you have a need for a dentist after hours, he can't come to your room, but he will open up his office for you.
Sure.
24/7. He will also do other things like teeth cleaning and teeth whitening for less than half of what the normal prices, already normal low prices are in Costa Rica.
And let's help the listeners understand a little bit, because I'm going in for a tooth whitening because I'm a coffee drinker in the next little while. A tooth whitening in Costa Rica typically can be about $300 only, and then 50% off the price of that. $150 tooth whitening is unheard of.
Yes, I actually think it's $125.
Oh my God!
Now we have to remember, we have to be very careful here, because there is a college of I don't know how to say this. You have to pay a certain amount for every procedure according to Costa Rica college prices.
Sure, exactly.
So the dentist, in this case, must also keep track of the number of people that come in to have this done at the discounted price. And as long as he doesn't exceed the amount he's receiving for his supplement, then he's okay. If not, then he has to charge back, and we have a board that looks at these figures every year, and we readjust if it was required more money than what he was able to take in. And that's just a self-insured thing that myself and a couple of other people will make sure that there's no problems with the college.
Got you. But all said and done, I mean, a U.S. citizen who's coming down here, staying long-term and getting the dental care, we're still talking a quarter to a fifth of the price of what you'd be paying for the same procedure as well done in the United States.
That's correct.
Yeah, incredible.
And this, our dentist is terrific and almost painless.
And now we're talking as well about optical options here as well.
Yes, free eye examinations.
Wow.
And I don't know what part of the world you live in, but in the United States, typically for someone my age who has basically trifocals, blended trifocals that can be polarized, everything you can get, plus designer frames, we're probably looking in the neighborhood of something like $350, as opposed to in the U.S. can be $800 to over $1,000.
Incredible.
So that difference alone, if you use this service, will probably come very close to paying the annual fee of $486 paid up front for this program.
Even just looking at some of the list of options here, I see that non-emergency transportation to and from the San Jose Hospital, if required, is half off.
That's right. That's through the Daystar Transportation people.
That's absolutely phenomenal. I mean, the list is so extensive. If you don't mind my asking, then what is the price for condo owners here in Costa Rica to enroll in this?
Like I just said, $486 a year.
Wow. That's an amazing number to me. Now, is there any opportunity within this plan to extend that coverage to guests?
Yes, there is. A matter of fact, if you are a member of the plan and you have guests staying with you while you are here in your condo, the guests are also eligible for the full service of everything that you get on the plan, they also get.
So when my mother was here visiting, had I been on a plan like this and she had broken her shoulder and she needs to see a doctor right away before she goes to the big hospital, she would have been covered under this.
That's correct.
Oh, it just gets better and better and better. Now, you were telling me a story earlier today, Bruce, that you were out working a little bit on this and you went up to the spa that is close to or above the clinic, correct?
Yes, we were trying to encourage medical types of businesses into the center of the city, so they would be very easy for everybody to find. Well, there is a spa, Nazareth Spa, had just located a spa inside at the request of the doctors, inside the same buildings, in the same complex. We went to see them, asked them, thank you for joining us. How can we help you? How can you help us? And they've extended another 15% off already low rates.
No,
we're looking at $29 for an hour massage. It's just heaven.
I was going to say, I can get a 1 hour deep tissue massage here in Huckle for $35. Now you're telling me under this plan it's $29. That's unreal. It's amazing, Bruce, and we're running a little short on time here because we got to go to the top of the hour news. But for me, I just want to say thank you for working so hard on this particular project and continuing to do so, because you're not only making the lifestyle for people who live in Huckle so much more easier and the sense of security so much more greater, but I think the biggest point is that you're making Huckle truly a first-class destination for expats and retirees alike. Thank you for that.
Can I just say one other thing?
Of course.
Corey, one of the things I've done here is that we've put together a plan where it's unlike an insurance plan, because every part of it comes back into the community. If we have more condos owners join than what we need to cover our annual expenses, the additional monies will be placed into better and better medical care for the community, equipment, medical equipment, and things of that nature. It's only to keep improving. This is not a profit situation.
Right.
This is just for the benefit of Hako, our folks here.
Phenomenal. Thank you again. Everybody, we got to run to a break right now. If you want more information about this plan or to get a hold of Bruce, just get a hold of me, Corey at overseasradio.com, and I'll push those emails over to him. Also on the website, thisweekincostarica.com, I'm going to have a link to the Daystar Concierge Medical Service Plan. Stick around, guys.
So you want to jump out your trick bag and ease on into hip bag, but you ain't just exactly sure what's hip.
You're tuned in to overseasradio.com, the station
and the Ad Council.
The views and opinions expressed during this program are not necessarily those of Overseas Radio Network, the Expat Broadcasting Group, the staff, management, or broadcast partners. All information provided is for educational purposes only. Before taking action, consult a licensed professional.
The Costa Coast.
Check 1, 2. Testing.
Now hear me. You're listening to This Week in Costa Rica.
Once the volume control is set, do not readjust.
On the Overseas Radio Network.
That's why I want you to go on the radio.
This Week in Costa Rica, bringing you the latest information from expats, experts, and people just like you who chose to escape, retire, and live in Costa Rica.
Listen and decide in your own mind what sounds best.
Got a question? A comment?
They have to be dealt with on an altogether different level.
Or just want to talk to an expert on living in Costa Rica?
Oh, brother, what a way to make a living.
Give us a call now.
Hello?
Lines are open and your answers are just one phone call away.
Now, if you have some suggestions to offer, we're willing to listen to you.
Ready?
This Week in Costa Rica with your host,
Who you?
Corey Coates.
And now, folks, it's showtime.
Welcome back to This Week in Costa Rica. Hour 2. Sit back and relax. Make yourself a smoothie, as I did. And enjoy the warm tropical weather of this beautiful destination nation of Costa Rica. Number 1 for expatriation, if you ask me. Nobody did, but go ahead. I'll say that. Costa Rica's number 1. I know there's a lot of choices out there in the world, but this one's the one for me. My big thanks for Bruce to coming into studio and spending that half hour with us. The information that he brought is only a fraction of what this plan entails. I went ahead and I put some links on our webpage, thisweekincostarica.com. If you go to the radio page there, you'll see there are show notes for this particular program. And on there, I have links to information on the medical plan being assembled by Bruce and the good folks at Daystar Properties. So you guys can get some more detailed information. And I want you to, if you're considering coming to Costa Rica, to look at this even just as a potential expat. I'm not selling anything here. This isn't the idea. I'm not trying to tell you guys, move to Jaco and move into one of the Daystar Properties and get this medical plan. I don't get any kickback on that. Trust me, you. What I am saying, though, is as a North American or as a European, take a good look at what's going on here. Take a good look at what these folks are doing and what they're putting together. This is a big deal. And take a look at the lifestyle that's being led. You know, we speak and we joke often, as Lyle's going to come in for the second half of this show today, about the two expats living the dream. You know, we joke. You know, we golf and we swim and we run and we eat well and we live and we say, yeah, you know, pura vida, we're living the life. Well, you know what? We kind of are. And I know a lot of folks who are sitting there now listening to this program might not be. But it leads me to an interesting conversation and something that I do want to cover more on this particular show. I'm very fortunate, I have to say, to do the work that I do and to meet and interact with some of the folks in the expat community here, not only in Costa Rica but abroad, and talk about a lot of these ideas that are not new ideas by any stretch of the imagination. You know, it's funny, when I talked to Bruce about putting together this medical plan, this is just basic community. These are just people looking at a need and solving it. And there becomes a difference that is, for me, as a libertarian and a Canadian, something that I've not noticed until I really got out of my home country. Looking from the outside in now, I'm seeing things a little differently. Don't worry, I'm spiraling towards a point. The point being is that there seems to be a very clear divide happening right now between those who feel it is the responsibility of the government to take care of them. Pay your taxes, and they'll take care of you. I don't want to use words like nanny state, but they come to mind. The idea where I am a member of society, I pay taxes in Canada as high as, 50% more, plus my sales tax. Wow, I don't even want to think about it. And as a result, I am allowed to follow the rules and regulations of the government. And it's all kind of painted with this big brush that says, don't worry, baby bird, mama's going to take care of you. I don't know, maybe I'm getting off on a tangent here, but I really do feel like the other side of that fence is we can take care of ourselves. I'm not going full-on conservative to the point where I say, look, I don't need no stinking government to get up in my stuff. Well, we need the government, I do believe, for a lot of things. But it's a balance that needs to be struck. And I find that Costa Rica, for example, is a nation where the balance is starting to shift. That the government is becoming more liberal. That the taxes are going up. The dependency on the government is becoming higher. And that people more and more are starting to turn to the government for solutions to problems that they could fix themselves. Now, I know, again, this is a blanket generalization of the case. However, I'm just looking at local examples because that's the best we can really do. Bruce is a prime example here locally of how what I believe was originally the American spirit, helping out your neighbor, grabbing the bull by the horns and doing it when it needs to be done, but doing it your own way and doing it right. And not doing it for money. Doing it because this service needs to be here. I see this every single day in this community. More and more, the expats are the one who are spearheading these projects, as we've spoken about it before on this program. And for me, what it does is it kind of sparks in my brain the debate over how dependent we become on the government, how much we hold our country responsible for our happiness, and how sometimes it's amazing what you can accomplish when that nation doesn't get in your way. For me, this is a really key point. And I think this is one of the catalysts that spark a lot of expats to stop and take a look at what have we done here? What have we built? What is the cradle in which we sleep now? And how have we decided to make it responsible for the way I am and the way I feel? This is a big deal to me. Because I'm moving more and more in the direction that I realize that my feelings, my thoughts, and my happiness are my responsibility. That though I do love Costa Rica very, very dearly, and that I do attribute a lot of my happiness as a result of having put myself in an environment that is conducive to the lifestyle that I've chosen to lead. Yes, but do I consider Costa Rica responsible for the happiness that follows? I'm going to say no. I could very easily have found this happiness in West Virginia, or France, or Cambodia. I guess the question that I'm trying to ask here, and I'm certainly not going to answer because that's for you guys to do. The question that I pose on this program is, who ultimately is responsible for your happiness? Who's in charge of your sense of satisfaction in your life? Is it the government? I don't think so. Anyway, we're going to bring Dan back on, talk a little bit more about what's going on in San Jose. I feel like we cut him off. Of course, Lyle Head's coming in, talking about Jaco and what's going on here in Pura Vida. Stick around, guys.
So you want to jump out your trick bag and ease on into hip bag, but you ain't just exactly sure what's hip.
Sit back and relax. You are tuned into the Overseas Radio Network.
Looking to invest, live, or retire overseas? Before you pack your bags, you need to log on to NagelLog.com. It's the only stop you need to make for global business, asset protection, estate planning, overseas residency, and citizenship needs. Our experts have experience working in 41 countries around the world. Starting a business abroad can be overwhelming without expert help. We assist clients with foreign trust, foundations, corporations, LLCs, IBCs, and property acquisition. Need help with IRA assets abroad, capital formation, foreign securities issues, banking, brokerage, or finance needs? NagelLaw.com. We ensure compliance with U.S. tax and regulatory laws. We engineer global structures to help our clients achieve their personal and business objectives. To find out about our introductory personal asset protection plan, visit NagelLaw.com. NagelLaw.com. We represent capital overseas.
Are you ready to enjoy a truly personal banking relationship again? One where a real human being will take your call and knows you by name? Does bank privacy and secrecy mean something to you? Well, these mean something to us at Key International Bank Limited. You and your needs are the most important aspect of the relationship. Key International Bank has been in business since 2003 and serves discerning clients who want high-level private banking and investment services. Traditional services include deposit and savings accounts in 5 different currencies, international debit cards for quick ease to your money, access to a wide variety of investment products and funds unavailable in the United States and Canada, and loans in multiple currencies for properties and homes throughout Latin America. Key International Bank Limited, your private banking solution. Visit our website at www.bankinbelize.com.
Belize, an affordable offshore haven where English is the official language. If you've been considering taking your business offshore or setting up an international business company, commonly called an IBC, then you need to contact Georgetown Trust for a free consultation. An IBC is a simple first step in taking your affairs offshore for enhanced privacy and security. Belize, as a jurisdiction, cares about your privacy, and their forward-thinking legislation protects this right on your behalf. And it's all done in English. Offering a wide array of services and structures, Georgetown Trust has served thousands of clients over the past 15 years with integrity, efficiency, and privacy. Georgetown also works with service providers and offers wholesale structures to those engaged in offshore sectors. Visit our website today, www.georgetowntrust.com, and see how simple and affordable getting started can be. Mention ORN and receive $100 off a structure formation for the next 30 days. That's www.georgetowntrust.com.
From China's Great Wall to the Leaning Tower of Pisa, this is the Overseas Radio Network.
This Week in Costa Rica is hosted by Canadian entrepreneur Corey Coates. Corey has been living and working as a professional in Costa Rica for over 5 years.
I've been lost in my own place, and I'm good with it.
He's built a vast network of professional connections to help you with everything from immigration to relocation. Call in or send Corey an email to talk about the steps you need to take in making your dream of living in paradise a reality.
Welcome back to This Week in Costa Rica. Spending a lovely Monday afternoon here. Chat with all kinds of great people. Hour number 1, of course, we had Dan Stevens on and had a great chat there with Bruce Hintz. But you know, I felt like Dan and I didn't really finish our conversation. We just kind of got warmed up there and had to run to my next interview. So I thought I'd bring him back on again. Call him up. I know he's a busy man, but I do appreciate your time. Thanks again, Dan Stevens, for coming back on the program.
Not a problem, Corey. It's always a pleasure to talk with you.
So now we're gonna move away from this soccer stadium thing and this whole debacle because you know, I'm not really a soccer fan myself, and every time I see the government of Costa Rica kind of drop the ball on something like this, it's just a little bit upsetting because again, you know, the losers in this game are the Ticos and this great country. It's the opportunity lost just as a result of all that bureaucracy. It's so frustrating to see.
In agreement with you.
All right. Why don't we move on to something a little bit more exciting? You and your team there at the Costa Rican Times seem to be branching out a little bit. I saw something that you're going to do some reporting from South by Southwest and more.
Correct. What we're doing is we've got a few representatives that we want to get involved with events that people are very, very interested in, to broaden our readership and to show that we're not just focused on Costa Rica. Honestly, there's only so much Costa Rica news. And after a while, when you talk about corruption, you can talk about getting certain things done down here. But we want to be able to branch out and broaden our horizons. And our first event we're going to be going to is actually occurring right now. It started on Friday. I've got my representative flying up there today, is South by Southwest in Austin. I don't know if you know about it, but it is one of the premier events in Texas to bring together technology, movies, music, everything. And it's really a great place for people to find out what is going on in all these industries today.
Well, it's amazing because
have you ever heard of it or been involved in it?
Well, I don't know if you know, I'm very heavily involved in South by Southwest, and because I do another online radio program, which is an independent music podcast. So listeners can go over right now to 5gallonsound.com, and they can find, that's where I do a lot of my blogging, and I kind of aggregate most of the media that I'm working in. So for the last 7 or 8 years, I've been heavily involved in the South by Southwest Festival. So yeah, I am mega familiar with it, and excited to see some reporting coming out from you on it.
Yeah, we're excited about it too. And actually, next year I'll probably be attending it myself. And if you want to tag along, let me know.
I've been invited every year, but I've never been able to break away from the desk. So maybe next year. The barbecue in Austin.
What we can do is we'll bring your desk with us. Okay.
I love it. We can go mobile. You know, I understand the barbecue in Austin is some of the best in the world.
It is. My favorite place to eat barbecue is actually. Let's see. I'm trying to think. It's a place right outside of Nacogdoches. You know what? I'll get back to you on that.
Okay, look it up and let me know. Now, broadening
the roadside barbecue and everything from Texas is wonderful. So.
Amazing. Now, broadening out, you are also putting in, it looks like a weekend section as well. Am I ever going to leave this website? I just go on here and I get all the news and all the weekend stuff I want to know about. This is great.
Yeah, we're actually starting a weekend kind of preview. We'll be doing that on Thursday nights to tell you what's going on Friday, Saturday, events that are being covered. We're not going to do everything. We're just going to pick things that we think that people might enjoy learning a little bit about. And then I'm actually going to be taking Friday nights off from the publish and having that weekend be from Friday, Saturday, and then I'll be doing another publish on Saturday night.
Oh, you're starting to sound like you live in Costa Rica.
Hey, come on, man. You got to give me a little bit of a break.
You got to do it. That's the only way. All right. Now, if I can move along here, there's an article that I saw that I really enjoyed. And you know, one of the reasons why I bring you on here, Dan, is not because I think you're just a great guy, but it's because you put some stuff on your website that I think is super, super valuable. You had an awesome article this week on the trials and tribulations and necessity of opening a bank account in Costa Rica as a foreigner.
Yes, it is. It is for me like trying to find the fabled unicorn and opening a bank account. It is very, very difficult to do, and we're talking about cutting through the red tape. Most people, when they come down to Costa Rica, they go through the trial and tribulations of waiting in that bank line, which is an absolute misery. Usually if you go on there on a Friday, especially on a payday, you're going to be there for an hour and a half, 2 hours on the low end. And you get to a point where you're like, you know what, I really want to start a bank account. I really want to be able to avoid this and do this online banking, receive payments, etc. I don't have to go to the bank and cash a check. Well, that process takes a little bit of time and a little bit of effort, as do most things in Costa Rica.
Yeah.
Excuse me. I'm sorry about that. What most bank accounts do, first of all, they've redone the law. So to open a checking account in Costa Rica, you need to be a resident. Which, if we can go through becoming a resident on a different day.
Absolutely.
That's another bear to tackle. But, but what they do in order to get a bank account, and you need your passport, you need your residency documents. You also need utility bills to prove, your address and where you're living. You need a letter of recommendation from a financial institution. You need a letter from your employer. And you need reference letters from one or two account holders at the bank you're applying. You also probably need to get. It's a process that can be done right and easily, but in Costa Rica, it's a little bit difficult to get it done.
Yeah, sorry, you broke up just a little bit there, but we're going to cover a lot of this as well, pointing over to your article. I personally have a couple of bank accounts here in Costa Rica, but the only reason I was able to do it with relative ease was because I was contracted by a company here and I was on a work permit. And that company then was able to give me the necessary documentation and letters to take over to the bank to sign up for an account. But even then, it was a 45-minute to 1 hour process once I got through the line to the actual teller.
Yeah, it can be quite a pain. And even now, though, if you have an employee right here that can help you walk you through it, then that's one process. Getting a lawyer you trust to help you through it is another process. Of course, that's going to cost a little extra money. But you actually have to be a resident now to open a checking account, which is, for most people, if they're on the perpetual tourism, which is leaving every 90 days, they are unable to get a bank account at this point.
Well, the reality is, Dan, and it's that I mean, it's not a recommended course of action if you wanted long-term stay here in Costa Rica. And this is the gray area that a lot of our listeners sit on. Is there's a great deal of snowbirds who are down here who don't want a permanent residency or even a temporary residency because they have, for example, a long-term rental condo or a piece of property that they own. They want to come down for 4 or 5 months of the year, and they want to stay on that perpetual tourism visa. That's not what it's called. They want to just stay on as a tourist, but they don't necessarily want to have to get a residency and be required to stay here for 4 months. But they also need a bank account, so it's sort of catch-22.
Right. I agree. And, I mean, for me, I think I'm actually going to be going after my residency fairly shortly. So I'll be able to walk people through the miserable process that is. Right. But I don't know. It's just at a point where, I mean, you really, what I recommend to most people is set up a bank account, for example, in Scotiabank or a bank in their home nation that also has a reciprocal bank here in Costa Rica. Be it, I know there's Bank of America is tied down here as well as Scotiabank. And if you start a bank account up there, then use their ATMs and be able to bank through them. That's the easiest way I've found to get around this.
Gotcha. You know, we got to run here to another commercial break. I appreciate your time. We'll be speaking to you next week. Dan Stevens, the Costa Rican Times. You can find all the links over at thisweekincostarica.com. Stick around, guys.
So you want to jump out your trick bag and ease on into hip bag, but you ain't just exactly sure what's hip.
You're tuned in to overseasradio.com, your online radio resource about life abroad.
Okay, you're not stupid. You see the handwriting on the wall. You are thinking about joining the millions of Americans who have already left the country. But where do you go? You don't want to make the mistake of jumping from the frying pan into the fire. You need accurate info to make one of the most important decisions of your life. You need EscapeTheUSANow.com. You don't want to have regrets because your expat country collapsed due to crime, conflict, disease, famine, natural disaster, scarcity, war, or a government gone bad. Only at EscapeTheUSANow.com will you discover the handful of countries that offer true freedoms and unbelievable opportunities that most people could only dream of. EscapeTheUSANow.com is the information you cannot afford not to have. Information that took over 30 years to research, costing hundreds of thousands of dollars, with more than 250,000 miles traveled. For less than $2.50 per month, you can have what may be the most life-saving information you have ever obtained. EscapeTheUSANow.com, so you don't jump from the frying pan into the fire.
This is 90 Seconds with Joel Nagel on the Overseas Radio Network.
I have over $250,000 in assets I'd like to protect. Would you recommend I hire an internationally versed CPA?
Yes, I think that it's important that you get a good attorney or CPA versed in international matters once you move over the $250,000 threshold. A lot of the basic items we talked about before, like foreign bank accounts and owning precious metals and foreign real estate, those are things that you really can do on your own without having an attorney or CPA. But as you move up the line, when you have more assets, you start talking about structures, trusts, and things like that. It's important that you have folks that can counsel you, make sure that you stay compliant with tax and regulatory requirements that you have as a U.S. person. And most domestic-oriented professionals are not familiar with these types of requirements. So that's why we recommend a good attorney or CPA who is versed in international matters.
For more information on the 15 global strategies to protect your wealth, visit NagelLaw.com. That's NagelLaw.com.
This is Kathleen Petticord and Leif Simon with the Live and Invest Overseas Minute on the Overseas Radio Network. If you decide that you would like to invest in a home of your own in your new place of residence overseas, wherever you decide to settle, there are some fundamentals about property markets outside North America that you need to keep in mind.
The most important thing to understand is that few places outside North America have multiple listing services. You're not going to be able to sit down with one real estate agent and find everything that has your criteria. You're going to have to go to multiple agents, look around, talk to a lot of people to be able to find exactly what you're looking for.
You'll have to meet with as many local agents as possible to get any real idea of the current market. You might find, when you do, some properties listed with more than one agent. This isn't because the listings are shared, because foreign agents don't do this. It's because the owner has listed the property with more than one agent, sometimes at different prices.
And the way that everything's listed in these markets, it's going to take some time for you to find out exactly what something should cost. So you need to spend some time on the ground learning what the market is like.
For more information on making the leap overseas, visit us online at liveandinvestoverseas.com.
You're listening to the Overseas Radio Network, the exclusive online radio station for the expatriate community.
What? What is it?
This week in Costa Rica. Fun, informative, and your questions answered. Talk live with one of our on-air experts and start living your dream now.
Welcome back to This Week in Costa Rica. Man, that sun's shining outside. We're loving it here. The Overseas Radio Broadcast Facility, Jaco Beach, Costa Rica. How's the weather where you are in your cubicle? Probably not feeling too good. Speaking of cubicles, I tore a guy away today, and I can't believe he's actually here finally in studio. My co-host with the most, Lyle Head. Lyle, how are you?
I'm doing wonderful. It's good to see you.
Man, great to see you too. And you know what? We were talking a little bit there when you just came in during the commercial break. And I think what's happening now is that there's a direct competition between you and I. It used to be, who's the coolest guy in Costa Rica? And I think you've still got that crown, though it's a narrow race, right?
Yeah, I'm the coolest married guy, and you're the coolest single guy.
Oh, that's a way to put it. I like that. That's two different sashes that we get to wear around town. But I think the other thing too is that I'm feeling phenomenal today, and I feel like the contest between you and I is becoming who's going to be the most fit guy on the radio here in Jaco.
You don't have McDonald's here.
I don't have McDonald's here, and I stay on the other side of the tracks, because over there you've got that KFC, you got the Quiznos, the Pizza Hut. I don't even know where those places are anymore.
That's great. Have you found the farmer's market?
I go to the farmer's market every single Friday morning.
Nice.
And now I'm eating only fresh foods. I'm not touching anything processed. I've cut sugar out of my diet. I'm drinking almond milk, man. Almond milk.
You got a whole new pep in your step.
I feel incredible. The little bit of belly fat that I'm trying to work off is going away. And I attribute it largely to diet and exercise. Now that I'm living here, working from home, it's great. I go to the gym 3 times a week. I do cardio or run 3 times a week. I swim every morning. I do yoga. I mean, this is incredible.
You got too much free time.
I do. Actually, it's not that. I work my butt off. It's just a matter that, you know what it is here? When you move to a place like Costa Rica and you have these opportunities to live the lifestyle that we're living, you get those chances now to set aside an hour a day to focus on you or your body or your health, you know?
You're not in a bus or a car either.
That's exactly it. I'm sitting at a desk, but the idea as well now is I'm getting up, I'm getting active, I'm getting outside. And you know, when the weather changes up in North America, the last thing you want to do is go outside.
Oh, right now it's miserable.
Brutal. I'm getting emails from people saying, I don't know how much longer I'm going to be able to take it. I got to get on a plane and move to where you're at. And you're right. I mean, the weather here is phenomenal. Gorgeous. Once again, every day.
Yeah, we got some people right now from the Yukon here. Minus 45.
Oh, man. And that's not even including the wind chill.
Yeah, they're like, it's just dark all year round where we live. I'm like, why do you live there? What are you doing there?
I know. What would be, I don't know. I just don't understand anymore. And it's funny, I was just having a conversation with a friend of mine. She lives in Florida, but she's originally from Illinois. And she's having to move back there for work reasons. And she's immediately depressed. She's like, oh, my God, I got to go back to Chicago in the winter and the slush and the snow and the rain. Forget about it.
I take less money and stay in the warm weather.
That's it. You know, and it's a combination of many things. But when you come down to a warm climate like this, and one, it eliminates the stress. And two, it means that you have what I'm loving, this fresh produce each and every day. Everything's in season pretty much all the time.
No, it's great.
I went to the feria on Friday now, as I do every Friday morning, and I spent 6,500 colones, which is about $13 on 2 bags, just like brimming with greens and veg and fruit. It's unreal. And now I'm getting into the habit while I'm there. I'm buying all the fresh squeezed orange juice. I'm getting all of the coconut water. I'm buying there's a little Mennonite stand. Have you seen the Mennonite stand?
Yeah, I got some blackberry jelly from them the other day, and they got some cinnamon rolls.
Unbelievable. And she's got fresh granola. She's got all kinds of stuff going on there, and it's all organic. It's all fresh, and it's all cheap.
There's a new spot on Saturdays doing an organic, a little organic farm, or what do you call it? An organic farmer's market.
Oh, really?
At Green Room.
Where's this exactly?
Green Room on Saturdays.
Okay, where's Green Room?
You haven't been to Green Room?
No.
Well, before you get to Los Amigos,
okay. Uh-huh.
You make the left there where the Cocal is.
Yeah.
And there's a little white building. It's called the Green Room.
Oh, really?
Oh, insane breakfast. It's great lunches. Everything's organic, clean.
I'm gonna have to do a little more exploration because, and I don't know if you can hear it in my voice. I've never felt better in my life, and I'm 37 years old.
Yeah, you're kind of old.
I'm really old, but I feel like I'm 15 again. It's amazing, and I think I'm not going to attribute everything to expatriation because obviously it's got a lot to do with some of the lifestyle choices that I'm making, but. The funny thing is here, Lyle, is that when I go back to Canada to visit and I look at the organic section, for example, in the grocery store, it's this little boutique section where everything is double the price and the veggies and the fruits don't really look all that great compared to here where it's just an abundance of fresh fruit and vegetables, super, super cheap.
What have you gotten your budget down in your food?
You ready for this? I'm glad you asked that because now, like you remember I think it was January, I had it down to about $370 is what I spent for the whole month.
Yep.
$348 is what I spent in the month of February for groceries. That's it. Everything.
That's not going out, though.
That's not going out. I keep that completely separate. I spent $250 going out. But that's only because I had visitors.
Yeah, that ain't bad.
But that's okay. I mean, I'm spending now very, very little on groceries. And the thing is, too, I'm happy enough to say that I can now eat breakfast, lunch, and dinner at home. But there was a question I wanted to ask you, and I'm going to ask you on air. There is a lunch service that you mentioned. This guy is like a killer chef here, and I think he used to have a restaurant, but now he doesn't, and now he's like the secret society of great food that gets delivered to your door. Who is this guy?
Pili Pili is the name.
Pili Pili. Okay, yeah. So what does this entail? How does this work exactly? Or can
he's not doing the lunch? He's not doing the lunches every day like he used to. He used to just do a lunch every day, one thing. Now you got to pre-order it the day before. Okay. But you go to his website. You go to his Facebook at Pili Pili, and you find out all the stuff that he has.
And it's a lot of. It looks like gourmet food, is what I understand.
Oh, it's gourmet food. He does cooking lessons. Like my wife just did a 3-hour cooking lessons for $60. You bring all the food, and you get to take everything home with you.
You're kidding.
No, it's totally...
God, that sounds like fun.
Real fun.
I would do something like that, because now that I'm only eating fresh food, it's now becoming a point where I need to know some of the different ways that I can prepare all this fresh food. You can only do so many wraps, before it's like, okay, I need to do something a little more exciting. So that sounds like fun, taking cooking classes with a guy who really can help you out.
For sure, and you get to keep all the food.
Unbelievable. I don't understand. We need to sit down, and I don't know if we've ever actually done it, but you need the Lyle's Guide to Hako.
I know.
Because you know the inside scoop on everything.
I need you to write it for me.
I could do that. Yesterday was one of those examples again. I was going to Mas Pormenos because I ran out of almond milk, of all things. And on my way there, I saw the fish truck.
Yeah,
parked in front of Lemon Zest. So for a lot of the listeners, it's amazing. So a lot of the listeners who follow this program know that you turn me on to the guy who actually does all the fish distribution for all of the restaurants and grocery stores here, buying it direct from the source.
Correct.
Unbelievable. So I walked up to him and I got myself a trout for half the price of what I was paying for trout at the Mas Pormenos. Thank you very much.
No, it's great. I mean, you got Wednesdays. I do it with all the guests that check in, right? I'm sitting there writing on their pamphlet going, okay, you're going to be here for a couple weeks. Well, Wednesdays, Mas Pormenos is discounts on all the fruits and vegetables. Mm-hmm. You go to the farmer's market on Friday. If you can't make it on Friday, you go up Pops Road. You still haven't been up Pops Road to the fruit stand there either.
No, I haven't. I have not.
If you run out of fruit, you can go up Pops Road on the right-hand side. There's a fruit stand that's the same as going to the market.
I'm going to go there today because I just ran out of papaya. I just made my smoothie and I'm out of papaya.
Perfect.
Unbelievable. I don't know how to explain to the listeners exactly what's going on, though I do try. But I'm feeling now, and I've been kind of touching on this as we've been going forward through the program in the last couple of months. This move to the beach has been absolutely transformational for me. You know, I'm rediscovering Costa Rica, and I'm falling in love with this country again in a whole new way. And I have to say, Jaco is really the biggest part of that here, this town.
It's cool, man. It's whole summertime. Everybody's happy. People are on vacation. It's just it's a cool lifestyle.
It's unbelievable. And, you know, I feel so comfortable here day in and day out, walking the streets day and night, seeing people that I recognize, talking to people on the streets, going down to the beach every day, running, walking, swimming. It's really, really a world even that I've only scratched the surface of. I know I only know 2% of Jaco.
Yeah, and it's only 3 miles long.
That's exactly it. So I guess what I'm trying to get at here is we need to try and find a way to convey to the listeners really how the lifestyle changes that we have made here on This Week in Costa Rica aren't just specific to moving to Jaco, but I guess what we're really talking about is making a lifestyle choice that in some cases requires you to let go of the U.S., let go of Canada, let go of Europe, and just move to that other country and start fresh.
Yeah, it's hard to change a lot of times when you're in the same environment.
That's exactly right. You know what we got to do here is we got to take a break and pay some of the bills here. The AC in the studio is not cheap. I do want to remind you guys, if you want to get a hold of Lyle and I, really the best way to do it is to shoot us an email. You can shoot us an email at info@thisweekincostarica.com. Those that already have me bookmarked, Corey at Overseas Radio, that's fine too. That all works. We're going to take a bit of a break here. Come back for the final segment. You're hanging out with Corey and Lyle on This Week in Costa Rica, only on the Overseas Radio Network.
So you want to jump out your trick bag and ease on into hip bag, but you ain't just exactly sure what's hip.
Live call-in shows and hosts from your favorite countries. This is the Overseas Radio Network.
Belize, an asset protection haven where English is the official language. If you've been considering protecting your assets with an offshore trust or foundation, look no further. An asset protection structure from Georgetown Trust will serve you and your family for generations to come. Your grandkids will be grateful for the legacy that you were wise enough to establish for them today. You'll rest easy because Belize has some of the most protective trust laws in the world, and it's all done in English. Georgetown Trust has served thousands of clients over the past 15 years with integrity, efficiency, and privacy. Georgetown Trust also serves as a registered agent for IBC's mutual funds and insurance companies. If you're an offshore service provider, inquire about wholesale structures to fit almost any offshore need. Visit our website today, www.georgetowntrust.com, and see how simple and affordable getting started can be. Mention ORN and receive $100 off a structure formation. That's www.georgetowntrust.com.
Establish your business in one of the most extraordinary cities in the world. Connect to a market of over 1.8 billion people from Dubai. Over 1,400 companies from around the world have made Dubai Airport Free Zone their Middle East and Africa headquarters. Dubai Airport Free Zone was rated one of the top free zones in the world. Let us help you set up your operations at Dubai Airport Free Zone and expand your market and sales in Asia and Africa. Call us at 214-537-9665 or send us an email at info@dafz-usa.com. That's info@dafz-usa.com.
Hey, Elaine told me you were going to Paris this spring. How did you swing that?
Oh, yes. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. I'm going in May. Just can't wait.
Well, I'm totally jealous. How did you afford it? Europe seems so expensive right now.
Well, I read Girl's Guide to Paris.
What? What's that?
Joy, it's an online travel guide. And the cool new thing they have is a travel club, which I just joined. The club has something like 100 partners in Paris. All of their partners, including the hotel that I booked, give you either a special price or an upgrade or VIP treatment. And you know how I love to be treated like a queen.
So where are you staying?
I'm staying with my hubby at the Hotel Le Grand, and I'm saving like $200 on the week's stay. Plus, Don and I are going to do a cooking class together. It's like a second honeymoon.
Hey, now I know what to tell John to get me for my birthday.
GirlsGuideToParis.com. Click on Travel Club to learn more.
You're tuned in to OverseasRadio.com, the station to help you reach your dream destination.
You know what I just heard? What? Costa Rica has the reputation of being the happiest country on earth. But it gets better. This Week in Costa Rica brings you the best information. The best. From the people who understand why so many choose to call this beautiful place home. Bringing you the latest information from expats, experts, and people just like you who chose to escape, retire, and live in Costa Rica. This Week in Costa Rica. Pura Vida.
Welcome back to This Week in Costa Rica. Final segment of the day. Man, this goes too fast. I don't know why I always do this. Must be a radio thing, Lyle. It's just, I always go right back on the air right when I have to pee. You know? I'll find a way to hold it in for the next 12 minutes. There's an email that came in here from Steve. I promised to get back to him on this, and I thought I'd do it on the air. So I'll go ahead and put on my old man bifocals and read through this. Hi, Corey and Lyle. I've missed listening the last 3 months, but look to start back this week. Well, thanks. My family lives in Florida, and we have land in Dominical that we have not visited for 6 years. Might not be there.
Might not be there.
Right. Anyway, we'll return this July to investigate the process of building in roughly 5 years. 2 questions. How have the roads and infrastructure improved in the last few years, and is more planned? And then question number 2 appears to be, also has the economy and real estate begun to improve? And what is your opinion for the next few years? It's always good to hear from people who live there with firsthand experience. Thanks, and I enjoy your show. Steve, thank you, Steve, for the email. Much appreciated. Why don't we go one by one here? First of all, Dominical, you want to maybe describe that region to some of the listeners who are not familiar with it, Lyle?
Yeah, it's the southern part of Costa Rica. It's about an hour and a half drive from here now.
Exactly. Still here on the West Coast, but absolutely gorgeous. It's one of those destinations where a lot of people who aren't going to live there even just go for the weekend. You tend to spend 3 or 4 days because it's a little tricky to get to.
Yeah, it's gotten a lot better. Before it used to be a dirt road.
That's exactly right. So that's his big question here. He says he's not been here for 6 years. The road to Dominical is much improved now.
Yeah, there's real bridges now, 2-lane bridges to get there. It used to be 3 little wooden bridges that were 1 lane. So now all of them are 2 lane.
And it's funny because when a lot of people think about coming down to Costa Rica and maybe renting a car, you think about renting like a Land Rover and driving through rivers and, you know, going through the jungle and stuff. Well, guess what? Going to Dominical, not that many years ago, that was exactly what it was.
Oh, when I bought my Coldwell Banker franchise 4 or 5 years ago, and I went down there because that's where the main office was at. I drove down there and I told them, I said, I will never be back here again unless you fly me down here.
Right. But it's beautiful because it's so secluded and it's so natural. It's so tropical. I mean, it's so underdeveloped that that's exactly what a lot of people are looking for.
Oh, it's definitely a beautiful area. So it's hard full-time living area for me, but.
Well, I think because it depends on what you're looking to do. If you're going to move down there and retire and not necessarily go off the grid, but sort of detach yourself from the day-to-day trials and tribulations of society, Dominical is a great choice
for sure.
But I need the everyday. I need to walk the streets. I need to see people. I need my cheeseburgers from time to time. Let's be frank.
Yeah.
You know, if you don't mind doing your groceries once a week and loading up the SUV and making the special trips into the town. Then Dominical is great, but it's so pure, so beautiful, so secluded. But yeah, getting there now to answer your question number 1 is much easier than it's ever been. And real estate prices down there are super reasonable because of that remote location.
Well, everything, and getting down there is a lot easier now too, because 6 years ago the freeway wasn't here from San Jose.
Exactly right. So yeah, it
probably used to be like a 6-hour drive. Now it might be a 3-hour drive.
It would have been a nightmare. The best way to have done it then, and it still is now, if you want to do the quick trip, is you take that 25-minute nature air flight.
Yeah, into Capos though.
Exactly. Yeah, into Capos. But isn't there one that goes down to Drake Bay and then you could come up from there?
Yeah, I forget where it goes.
I'm gonna take a look at that. Go over to thisweekincostarica.com in the show notes, and I'm gonna list some of the flights here because there's a lot of little puddle jumpers. Nature Air is the one that I use very regularly. where, there's a place in Costa Rica that takes you 10 hours to get to. You can get there 25 minutes by plane.
I know, it's awesome.
And if you are a local or a resident, like I am about to become, and Lyle is, then you get super, super great prices on those flights. I mean, half price.
And that residency is moving along nicely for you?
It is. Oh, man. Let's get to that after a second question. I'm so excited about that. I can't even tell you. But the other question that Steve had, and this is a tougher one to answer, really, is, the economy and real estate. Has this begun to improve? And what is our opinion over the next few years? I mean, my 2 cents in here is that the real estate market, I don't think really took the hit in terms of the value of property that many other countries did, especially during that big, during the big crash that happened in 2009, right?
Yeah, for sure. And it depends on where the property is here. There's such there's not a lot of, cookie cutter type properties here, right?
Right.
So if he's asking about his specific property, it's hard to tell. Is it in a gated community? Is it just some raw piece of land? How's the accessibility to it?
Yeah, I mean, and it's a fair point, because if it sounds like he's just going to develop on this land down there eventually. It looks like maybe in 5 years or so he's going to do it. Yeah, I mean, that's a tough call. Where is it? What is it? What do you plan on doing with it? What's the access to all the utilities? Who knows? Yeah,
because some stuff didn't drop, but then other stuff people overpaid for in speculation that it was going to have something. And, some of those prices have dropped 50%.
Is Costa Rica really, is this a good place to buy property and flip? Is it a wise investment here? I don't think it is.
I don't. Right now, it's not a flip opportunity. Right now, it's a long-term hold.
Yeah.
You got to really want to be here. There's really not a lot of room for development here right now because there's just not enough buyers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's interesting because I was having a conversation with the folks here who own the condo that we're located in, Vista Las Palmas. And we were talking a little bit about buying and some of the benefits of buying. And of course, for me, I'm a long-term renter as it stands right now, but that might be changing, largely because, as we touched on, I'm in the process now of getting a different type of residency. Thank you very much, by the way, for the recommendation of the law firm. Absolutely, these guys are amazing. We're going to bring them back on the program for another interview. But Lyle, it's feeling really good to go back into, as they say, into tramite or into process here in Costa Rica.
No, so now you don't have to leave, right?
Well, I don't. That's the great part, is that, prior to this, I was working for a different company that was able to provide me with a temporary work visa, renewable every year, which is great. It meant I paid my Social Security, I paid my taxes, I was in the system, I had my ID card, I could get bank accounts, all the stuff that, a normal person would be able to do day to day. But since I left that company, of course, and now I'm working with a different organization, the option was presented to me. How am I going to go about the residency process here? And I've decided to go for the rentista status, which is the long-term renter. It's a 2-year residency permit. The cool part, though, is at the end of that process, I can choose to renew my rentista status for another 2 years, or I can make application for permanent residency.
Yep, and that's what you'll probably do.
I have a feeling I might. It's hard to say, but I feel like I bought myself that 2-year window where I've got that time now to really sink into my life again. I've been sinking in for 7 years, but, sinking a little bit more into the beach, into Jaco, into this job, and then say, at the end of it, it's like, I really want to stay here on a permanent basis.
Well, I just started my citizenship after talking to JT, right?
Oh, PT, yeah. PT. So that's it now. You're you're a lifer.
I'm going to be flying around with my Costa Rican passport.
This is the hardest thing to imagine is what my life would be like back in North America. I just can't do it anymore now.
Oh, I don't. I'm trying to get my parents are right here for 2 months, and they're getting real close to calling it quits too.
And they're retired, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
And what is holding them up in the United States?
Their parents.
Oh, okay.
That's their excuse.
That's a pretty good reason, though. I mean, how often do they see the parents? I guess they're probably helping them out and staying with them quite a bit.
No.
They could just fly home anytime and see them.
Well, the ones are in Georgia.
Uh-huh.
So they're not, and they're in California. And the other ones, they're a 4-hour drive away.
Interesting.
So, you get on a plane and fly back and see them.
Wow. Okay. Well, I'll tell you this much. As I go through the process of residency, the great part is that once you get your application in, you don't have to leave the country. You get a nice letter from immigration that says you're in tramite, and that makes you a person who could legally stay here without having to renew their tourist visa. And it looks like it could take as many as 6 months before I get that cedula in hand.
Yeah, you don't drive, but if you were driving, you'd have to get a Costa Rica driver's license too.
Well, I do drive, and I do have a Canadian driver's license, and I know that all I have to do is I take my little piece of paper that says I'm in the application process. I take my Canadian driver's license, my passport, and a medical examination, and pay $10, and they'll give me a driver's license.
Exactly.
And I can't wait to do that.
But it's crazy because if you stay here longer than 90 days and you try to use your regular driver's license, it doesn't work anymore.
You can't. Yeah, that's actually a great piece of information for a lot of the listeners to know, is that your driver's license is only valid for 90 days here. Now, that being said, a lot of the people, and again, we do not endorse this, but the perpetual tourists who go and they leave the country for 3 or 4 days and then come back in and renew their tourist visa, their driver's license then is once again valid.
Correct.
Because all they need is that entry stamp that is dated and gives you 90 more days here in the country.
Yeah, exactly.
When we speak on this more, which is going to be probably in the next couple of programs, we are going to do a whole episode, I think, on perpetual tourism, not only here but abroad, because there is the gray area, which Dan and I spoke about a little bit earlier, and those are the tourists who come down to Costa Rica, and they're here for maybe 4 to 6 months only. And they want to keep their residency back in their home country because that's where they live, that they're semi-retired, maybe they own a property down here. All they want to do is they want to come down to their nice condo on the beach in Costa Rica for 3 or 4 months and then go back. They don't want to go through the residency process here in Costa Rica. So I think there's a legitimate use for the perpetual tourism in that they can go out of the country for a couple of days to Panama or Nicaragua, or maybe go back home and then come back. And then don't have to go through all of the troubles of going through a residency process just to stay in their condo for 4 months.
No, I mean, you should be able to do that.
I think so too. It's a serious consideration. We'll look at that more in depth as we go forward because, Panama is making it very, very easy to get a residency. They have extended the amount of time that a tourist can stay in the country now. It's like a year if you want. I think it's $5,000 you can deposit into a bank account and you get a residency now in Panama. $5,000.
Sounds like setting us up for a scam.
I don't know, man. Getting competitive. Look, we got to run here. Always great. Head over to thisweekincostarica.com for all the show notes and information. I guess we'll talk to you guys next week. This is Corey and Lyle hanging out on This Week in Costa Rica only on the Overseas Radio Network.
So you want to jump out your trick bag and ease on into hip bag, but you ain't just exactly sure what's hip.
You're tuned in to overseasradio.com, your online radio resource about